Big drum roll, everybody. And Chris, your favorite game of all time? I'm trying to do drum roll running.
I'm watching you struggle. Yeah, use that thumb, man.
Is this? Where you going, man? Hey, come back. Let's go ahead and get into top 10 movies of the decade. And
I could do that. I could do that right now. I already gave you my list.
Again, didn't
you
I?
did it again.
Top 10 video games
Nailed it.
of the decade.
People are saying #1 Goose Game. I bet that's on some people's list.
I bet it is too. It might be on mine. You never know. Hey, don't look at me like that, and don't judge me like that.
I'm not judging. I'm surprised.
You don't know.
All. I'm not judging nothing. I just looked at you.
I might have to correct your list.
Oh, okay.
Did a lot of things I don't agree with.
Fair enough.
A lot of things I got problems with on your list.
Okay.
When I say you left a movie off, I'm God damn it.
I didn't have any movies on my list, Corey.
You know, don't you do this shit.
I'm just saying what you're saying.
Stop it.
I'm not.
You know what the hell I'm talking about.
Repeat what you're saying.
Take two. When I talk about what video game, I know so I was almost about to slip up again too. What video game is missing from your list? What game do you think I'm talking about?
I don't know.
You said you knew exactly what it was.
I thought it was Red Dead Redemption.
Okay.
This is one of my honorable mentions.
I was surprised I was able to get 10 games fairly quick.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even realize I had played this many games throughout the decade. But I put this list together, and I did it in about 30 minutes, man. It didn't take me long, and I went back over and looked at it. I checked it twice, and I like my choices here.
Cool.
And I want to see if you agree with some of these and how much overlap you and I have.
I'm sure we have some.
So let's start with number 10.
Okay.
Number 10 is this game right here. I thought this game, Dying Light, was a real cool take on the zombie video game genre.
Sure.
The whole mechanics of doing parkour, which worked very smooth in the game. There was so many layers to this game, man. First of all, we talked about the parkour right here and the mechanics that work so well, but then the setting, which looked like it was set in Turkey. People are like, oh, that's why you like that shit.
Well, something different.
So it was a little something different. I like the setting that they had. I like the enemies that you have here, man. The enemies were so detailed, and I thought that the AI on those enemies were really good.
Yeah.
But I love that they went further than just regular zombies. So at night you had like the super zombies,
Sure.
the ones that chased you on the rooftops and tracked you down, and they had so many hidden Easter eggs for these zombies to tell you about the life cycle. Like they had a nest of those night zombies. I just thought that there was a lot of attention to detail that went into creating this world. And it's one thing to create a great looking game and a great looking game world, but when the game works so perfectly too.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought the gameplay and the overall aesthetic were very good. I liked how the day and night cycle, how the gameplay would change. Like in the day, I mean, you create weapons, mow down all sorts of zombies. They move slow, they react differently day. But at night, you just want to get to the goddamn safe house as fast as possible because those super zombies were chasing you.
Yeah.
They were much like you, are able to just move around the environment very quickly using parkour. They could too. So yeah, I loved how like you would just have to do all your missions in the day unless you were obligated to do them at night. And yeah, you're right. The world building I thought was fun too. Didn't care much for the story, but that wasn't the focus at the time.
Yeah,
I think that's fun.
No, it's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. At number 9, I love this game because I think it has a lot of replay value, but mainly because it's hard. And that is Dark Souls 2.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I didn't expect this one. I thought there'd be one Souls type game, but not this one.
I know that a lot of people say that this is inferior to like the first Dark Souls and even the Dark Souls 3 that came out recently. But I played this, and I haven't played Dark Souls 3, so maybe that would take its place. But being that it was my first Souls game that I played, I think there's this world is huge.
Yes,
and I like the role playing aspect here, man. I mean, everything is meant to be a challenge, right down to even how you build your character.
Sure.
And I think that the system that they created to make it challenging all the way around, while not for everybody, I thought it was great, man.
No, I think it's cool how the Souls genre really has proliferated like within this decade. I think Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls, and Demon Souls came out the previous decade, 2007 and 2009, I want to say. But to see how this genre has caught on, where now it's being incorporated into different types of games, it shows just the popularity of it. If you want to look into the lore, it's there, though it's difficult, it's very obtuse. But you're right, if you want a challenge, and you don't mind beating your head against the wall, just beating that boss, it is a very fulfilling experience. So I can understand why something like this would be on your list.
At number 8, now I want to include the game that this is a sequel to. Also, I didn't play that game, but without that game, you wouldn't have this one. So I'm kind of including both of them. But at number 8 is Red Dead Redemption 2.
You're a wanted man, Mr. Morgan.
I'll keep her in black on your behalf.
Bitch.
Talking shit.
I think that, again, what they've done with making such a detailed world, and right down to doing, I mean, you had to do mundane things that actually added to the gameplay, added to the world, and it was more than a game. It was and I know I talked shit about a game I hadn't even played, which was what was the one that just came out, Kojima.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. I know I talked about how people were. I made fun of people and they say, "Oh, this is an experience more than it is a game." Well, I guess I can say how you feel about that, because that's what I thought about this.
Sure.
There's a lot of things that you do just living life here. And while it might be mundane for some people, I thought it was brilliant for this, man, just to make this feel like it was, you were living this character's life.
Yeah. No, I think both Red Dead games have excellent open worlds. I mean, they feel lived in. And I really appreciate that. And I thought both told great stories, and they just have characters that, like, anytime I think of, like, the best video game characters of all time, I'm always going to think of John Marston and Arthur Morgan. And I love their stories. Red Dead 2, some of those mundane stuff, the kind of the mundane things that you have to do, they bothered me a little bit.
Yeah.
That was unnecessary busy work. That's why I kind of feel a little bit better about Red Dead 1. But, no, this is still a great title.
Let's go ahead and get into my number 7 movie. I'm dead. Somebody just shocked me whenever I get to this.
We get to that on Sunday, Corey, when Martin and I get to tell our top 10 movies.
Now watch on Sunday, we talk about
games.
Our games. My number 7 video game. This one's going to be probably a little controversial for people, but this one gets it for storytelling.
To be quiet.
Who is this?
I'm Clementine. This is my house.
You've been all by yourself through this?
Yeah.
You're like, No, I don't care.
Don't make me think of Lee that way.
This game here, The Walking Dead, Telltale, from 2012, I believe, when it came out.
Yeah.
Man, I scoffed at this. Choose your own adventure game. Everybody was telling me to play. And at the time, I was huge into Walking Dead, so I was like, all right, you know what? I'll give it. As a fan, I'll give it a chance. There was not a video game that year that had me on edge.
Yep.
Like this did. I mean, games that were action games where I was fully immersed did not have me on edge like this did. I mean, now in choosing, just those little simple ass choices you had to make.
QTEs.
Yeah. The QTE, man, they carried a lot of weight.
They do.
But this is a brilliant story too.
That's
I was crying at the end of this.
That's the thing, is that I just felt that this had such an immersive story. I would throw in kind of the entire series and Clementine's arc and everything, season 2 and 3 and 4, and just it was very beautiful. And they actually ended it this year with The Walking Dead season 4. But yeah, this game, like that final choice, like when Lee is talking to Clementine, you're basically teaching her how to survive while telling her, like, now you either leave me or you have to kill me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, Yeah, I cried. This is the first video game I ever cried.
I sat up there just holding. I was like, I don't want to do this.
I don't want to do this. Yeah, it's like, and I'm not, like I said, don't be afraid. And I was like,
don't make me do this, Lee.
Yeah.
Let's go to number 6. And my number 6 game of the decade is a very recent one. Want to take a guess what it is? Recent? Very
Resident
recent.
Evil 2.
Attention all citizens. You are advised to take shelter at the Raccoon City Police Station.
That's just scared.
I
was just like, okay, I guess it's done. And like, don't do that. Yeah. This is I gave it my number 6 spot because it's not just for the attention that they put into it, but not doing a straight remake. They call it a remake, but it's a whole new game.
It really is.
Going back and reliving a game that I've already played and making it new, and giving me all new scares and the thing. I was just very grateful for them giving this to fans and giving them a whole new experience.
It completely redefines the idea of a video game remake from now on. It's like at this point, if you have a remake after your title, better be something of that quality.
Yeah.
There's no excuse now. I absolutely love this game, man. This is my second favorite horror game of all time.
This was the perfect game to remake.
Yep. Now, and it's kicking off a trend within the franchise itself.
Yep.
Resident Evil 3 remake.
Resident Evil 3 is coming out. But yeah, with this being a remake and going in and being able to experience these characters in new ways and being able to play them, after you're done with a lot of value. After you're done with Leon, you play Claire, but then once you play both of those, now you get to go back and reverse them around
Leon
and play them again.
Claire,
And I just always, first of all, I've admired the game before they even got to this one. I always admired this game, the original one.
Oh, sure.
For being able to go and have you traverse through this territory that you've been through before, but making it new again with a new character. Now we're getting into the top 5 games. But at number 5 is another Resident Evil game that I think is now. I think this is great because one, it helped bring back the franchise to where it needed to be, what the fans wanted it to be. That shit,
My tummy!
that hurt. You didn't.
Getting speared by a shovel.
I think somebody actually walked into the recording booth and punched that dude.
Good sound work.
Yeah, Resident Evil 7. I thought Resident Evil 7, now it is lacking a little bit in that you had the same enemies over and over again.
Yeah.
But once you start reading about where those enemies came from and putting everything else together in this world, the story is just really cool too. But man, this, bringing this back to its roots and putting it like in this Southern Gothic setting right here,
yeah.
I thought that, there was a move that no one could expect. It was almost like they just gone back and reinvented Resident Evil and put in everything that made the series so great as far as gameplay and also the scares that you have too.
Yeah. Well, what worked about it for me was it was very much Resident Evil 1, but they changed the perspective of it. And I thought that was very refreshing for a franchise that always relied on just the either third person or the fixed camera. It's like, oh, it's something new you added to the franchise. It makes it refreshing. And come to your point, the storytelling. I really love the environmental storytelling. Like the main story, I think it's fine, it's serviceable. But the stuff when you're reading these notes, like the one that affected me the most is in the kitchen on the refrigerator, a note like list of groceries to get and like buy 20 dog collars. There's like no goddamn dogs in that game. They get that for the people that they've captured and are turning into molded. It's like, but that's really cool because you're adding to it, and you realize like how long these people have been doing it for, and it makes it more immersive.
That's what I'm talking about when you find out these notes and start putting it together. Because everybody's talking about how the enemies are repetitive, but
the molded,
the molded.
There's like 3 types basically.
Yeah, but once you start putting it together, it's like, all right, as a story, this makes sense and it's really cool.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But yeah, you're talking about how they changed perspective here, and also changing the character to somebody that is also. Jesus,
that toilet, that shit toilet, that diarrhea toilet.
He put his ass all over that diarrhea right there.
That's an enemy in itself.
I mean, somebody took one of those big liquid shits.
Oh yeah, that's like everything emptied out
when you're peeing through your ass.
Yeah. Like a water hose. Like you hold down with your thumb.
It's like you think you're taking a shit. You hear. Am I pissing right now?
Yeah. Exactly.
but also making you a character. You're no longer a tough stars member. You're no longer, you're not a police officer. No, you're just you're a schmuck. Yeah, you're just a dude looking for his wife that shouldn't have ran off in the first place.
Yep.
Let's go to number 4. Martin would be disappointed. That was Martin playing the game.
He's crying. What's happening?
Turn it off. Turn it off. Cuphead. Cuphead. I told you I have to rate some of these games on an addiction level, and look, Martin, if you're mad because I made you play the game, it's come back to me. Yeah, because now I'm back into this game, and I can't stop playing. And I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm sitting up here. I'm having bad dreams at night about the game because I want to keep playing because I can't get past a certain level. But I keep wanting to go back. The complexity of level design that they had to go into to also go with this art style. I think that this is technically a brilliant game. Artistically, it's a brilliant game. The method that they chose to even animate the game, where they go back and they did all this hand drawn.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing I kind of like about it, is that it has an aesthetic you just don't see in video games. Like, I can't think of a single game, unless some of the more recent knockoffs that people have been trying to ape off of.
Yeah, just look at the knockoffs, at least one that's coming out, to see how great this game is in the art style that they chose.
Yeah, but this just stands apart from anything else, any kind of side scroller. And I kind of liked how, people actually really doubted this game when it was first announced. They were like, oh, so it's just a boss battle, thing. There's not actual levels. And they eventually added 2D levels to it, but those turned out to be not even the most interesting part of the game. It was the boss battles.
Yeah.
And to see kind of the developer was vindicated that this is what it should be. I was like, that's pretty cool. But no, I can, and it's kind of like a Souls game where you're repetitive, you die over and over again, but as soon as you beat that boss, and you're just like, oh, it's satisfying. I can't wait to get to the next one.
Yeah.
So I totally see why this.
I just enjoyed playing this because I just I felt like I was in a cartoon.
Yeah,
because I love that old Rubber Hose animation, Fleischer.
That's right.
Fleischer cartoons out there, and this this game just deserved a lot of attention, man, because there was a lot of love of everything. Yeah. There's a lot of love of video games, and a lot of love of animation, and it showed to me, for what it is as a side scroller, I think it's a perfect game. We're down to our top 3 games. What do you want to take a guess? Number 3? What do you think?
Bloodborne.
You're close.
How was I close?
I'll tell you. Okay, I know. I even thought about that. I was like, you're not gonna know what I mean.
I mean, it's a PlayStation exclusive.
There you go. It counts. No, I'll tell you how you were close in a minute.
Okay.
Welcome to Just the Facts with J. Jonah Jameson. Have you noticed the insane uptick in crime since Spider-Man entered the picture?
That goddamn Spider-Man.
It's true.
What I have to say about this and why it's in my top 3, because it's smooth.
Yes.
The controls, for people who want to know what it's like to web sling through the city and stop bad guys with your web slingers and beat up gangs. I mean, they made this seamless as far as the controls go.
Traversal system is amazing in the game. They nailed that.
Yeah,
no question about it.
It was just so much fun to do everything.
Yep.
I mean, right down to just swinging through the city.
They have fast travel in the game, but I think I used it once, and I always would just constantly I would web swing past my objectives.
Yeah. No, and what I liked about it is that the emphasis really is on fun. It's not too difficult. No. I guess you could probably pick a difficult level, but it's not a hard game. It's challenging, but it's not hard. It's not frustrating. It's something you can just simply have fun with. You could actually play this as a stress reliever. But the play mechanics here, they do this character justice, man.
Yeah, they do. And I also like that they played around with the mythology to tell a really compelling story. But they did something different with it.
But what they did, yeah, exactly, because I like the way they brought in Marvel characters and made their version of it for this game.
Exactly.
And the story is really good.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, they captured, if you like Spider-Man, they captured Spider-Man and Peter Parker very well.
Yep, oh yeah.
And it's the game that makes you want to 100% it. It's not... it's not too crazy. It's not too time consuming, but you do put in the time to want to do it.
And apparently, according to Sony, this is the most 100%ed title, I think, on their system.
For a Spider-Man fan, a lot to love here.
Yeah.
But as a video game player, there's a lot more there.
Sure.
You don't have to be a Spider-Man fan and go in and love this game.
Absolutely.
Let's go to, now this is why I said that
Here we go.
you laughed at me, sir. You mocked me.
Well, I think I mocked you.
You mocked me, but let me see where this is. This is why when I told you you were close,
Oh, okay.
this is the reason. At number 2.
Bloodborne.
Yes. And I love the environment of this game. This is what, and they've never done it this well, but this is what a 3D Castlevania should be.
Yeah, just as hard as a
But
as a
I mean,
classic
and
Castlevania
again,
game.
this is not for a lot of people out there because it's an extremely hard game. I was just vacant looking at the TV playing this game, but yeah, I was drooling and shit. But you know what I love about this game, other than the difficult gameplay, if you like challenging games, this is it. But they don't tell you what's happening with this story. They don't tell you what's happening with this world. You just have to go and pick up things and find out on your own and piece it together. And a lot of that piecing that together is done by exploring. And of course, the more you explore, the more chances you're going to get killed because you're going to be attacked by creatures and monsters and everything. But when you talk about game design, I love the game design here, man. And mainly the art direction with it.
Yeah, agreed. The Victorian era is really cool.
You go into so many different parts of this city. And I love the boss designs, and it's not just because of how they look, but there's always like this Lovecraftian story behind these creatures, and everything connects well. And you go once you're done with the city, you enter all these different worlds to beat other creatures. And
Sure.
It's such a complex game, man, on storytelling levels and design levels. And part of it is again, like with CUPHEAD. The attention to the artistry that went into it makes me love it. But it's also a fun game to play if these games are your type. One of the things I love about these Soul games is that a lot of imagination goes into the bosses.
Oh, yeah, you got to be fucked up.
Yeah. I fought a vagina. I fought a giant vagina.
A lot of hentai, a lot of tentacles, everything.
Yeah.
Any fetish, it's probably in a Souls game.
And that vagina, and I'm not even lying, that vagina was the hardest boss to beat.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Ancient spat you out.
I said, I'm usually used to crushing this, but you're not here.
Crushing you.
Nah, here it is. Number 1 game, and this should be no surprise to anyone.
I need something smuggled out of the city.
It's just cargo, Joel.
Chris is over here playing air guitar. Yeah. Playing acoustic air guitar. He actually crosses.
Yeah. Perfect.
Last of Us. I think this movie. I say movie because movie's on my mind.
I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. Now I did make the mistake of saying movie, but I was thinking of movies because I said that this is the first game that I saw that actually rivals film.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Better than a lot of movies, actually.
Nah, man, this is the gameplay is there, but it's not that great, but it doesn't matter because this game sucked me in. Mm-hmm. I thought that, and what is so cool about this game is that there are people who saw me play this who don't even like video games.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to keep playing so they could keep watching the story.
It's a good gateway game for a lot of people.
Yeah. I thought that this was an incredible script. I thought the gameplay, while not great, it was worked in well into the story.
I think it worked well for what they created.
Yeah, and it's just a great take on a zombie flick, man. That whole story about fungus turning people into like just living mushrooms.
Sure. Yeah.
Having their heads split apart with fungus coming out of
Taking control of them.
Yeah. It's a brilliant script. It's a great script, and I think this whole decade, I talk about games that suck me in, but this is the one that is just, not only did it suck me in to wanting to play it, but it's the ending of this game.
Yeah.
Rivaled so many movies out there that it stuck with me long after I was done with this game.
It's the one where actually it made me question like who I was actually playing as and the kind of person they actually were in Joel. They set up perfectly from the beginning like how actually selfish this person is.
Yeah.
And that ending where it's like, God, it's great the way it ends, but then I still want to see this story continued on, and I think it's so appropriate that we're going to finally see the conclusion, maybe the conclusion of it. I think that's cool, but no, I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, Last of Us is one of the absolute best games of the decade.
Just got through doing my list, so now let's get ready to do Mr. Herman's over here. At number 10, we have...
When the sons of Skyrim would spill their own blood.
Why number 10?
Well, one, the reason why it made my list because I just think it for its sheer breadth of content, the amount of quests that are available to you, the variety of the characters you can choose, and and the gameplay you can pursue, whether you want to be a stealthy character or a warrior or a mage. There's a lot of variety in that way. But Skyrim is kind of like Bethesda has had a rough couple of years, but this was back in the day, early on in the decade. When they were still on top. I was never a big fan of the previous Elder Scrolls Oblivion, but I thought this is the one that I felt like they got a lot of things right, and I felt like the Norse aesthetic was pretty cool. We don't often see that. Now we see a lot in video games, but even back then it was a little unusual, and I really liked it for that. But after just replaying it now on my own Twitch channel, it just really shows you just how much content they put in this thing, and also the community, the fan community itself, the mod community, how there's hundreds of hours of quests and content they developed for this game, fully realized quest line, new environments that you can play and download for it, that just shows you you drop $60 for this thing, but there's so much content to still explore with that, and that's why I have a real appreciation for it. That it's not only one of my my 10th favorite game of the decade, but this is probably my absolute favorite Bethesda game.
Let's go to your number 9 movie. I'm gonna kill myself.
Don't do that. You gotta go through the rest of my list.
I'm going to smash this cup and slit my throat with it if I keep doing it. Number 9 video game of the decade.
This may be a one-way ride.
Bitch, what you say to me?
It's like, what? You're talking?
I'm always prepared. Yeah. See how pretty I am?
Prettier than you.
So this was on my list. It was a little higher.
It was a little higher.
And as much as you talked about this game, I thought it might have been higher for you.
Yeah. No, Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2.
No, I mean, this is how Resident Evil 7, that brought the franchise back. This game had the best parts of the franchise that I love. I just felt like as I said before, the environment, the AI, the breadth of content in terms of the different single player campaigns, the optional modes, tofu mode, stuff that's they didn't have to put that in there, but they did. And that was really cool, and it's why it's my number 9 favorite game of the decade, but it's also my 2nd favorite horror game of all time.
All right, Mr. Herman. Pretty solid so far.
Yeah, we got some overlap, see? Maybe in different places.
A smidgen, just a little
smidgen, as I like to say.
All right. Let's go ahead and get to your, which one are we on?
Number 8.
Number 8. Let's go to your number 8 movie. Throw something at me next time.
No, I'm good. I'm not.
Throw some shit at me.
Listen, we typically cover movies on the website, so I understand. Games is a little new.
Okay, can you forget? You know what the problem is here?
What?
I've done so many top 10 lists for movies that I'm used to saying that over and over again. But I give you permission to come over here and slap the
I'll just walk out.
Just walk over here and
play the rest
slap me.
Play the rest of my movies.
I will walk over there and grab your hand if I do this again, and have you give me the back of your solid hand right there if I do this again.
It's okay. I got you.
All right.
You're doing well. I'm not upset.
I thought you got to console me. You're doing well.
For the next time he says movie chat, donate 100 biddies. So
I'll take a shot.
Or take a shot. Yeah.
You will not survive. Hey, you're number
8.
You're number 8. Nah, I had the wrong one. You're number 8. Your number 8 is more overlap.
Hello? Anybody?
You need to be quiet.
Who is it? You've been all by yourself through this?
So we've already been through all of that, but...
Yeah. I actually really struggled with this one because my favorite Telltale game is probably The Wolf Among Us. Mm-hmm. But this was the one, Telltale's The Walking Dead, that it was the first video game that made me cry. And there's something, that's something special. And I think that's why it would be worthy to be.
You
on
make this tough
list.
guy break down.
If you did, yeah.
You make a bitch out of this.
It made me cry. But no, it was the one where it's like, one, it also was doing something with the Walking Dead property that it needed it. You know, because
Yeah.
the show was going in full force. No, and I was just kind of getting disenfranchised by that thing. I was like, didn't care for that.
Yeah.
I fell off the comic, but this revitalized it, in my opinion, and it just told a really compelling story. It was just this man who was a prisoner, and he just spent the apocalypse taking care of this girl, preparing her for what was going to happen, the harshness of what this world was going to be.
Yeah.
And I also include all the seasons of The Walking Dead with this too. Clementine's story. It was just so emotional. So many decisions that it had such an impact on me, made me feel uncomfortable. Where it's like, is this the right choice for Clementine and the kind of person that I want her to be? And to see how it finally ended this year, it was a really emotional journey, and one that I was. Yeah, really, really thankful for doing, and for a property that I kind of written off. This for people who have become disappointed with the Walking Dead franchise, whether it be with the comics or the TV shows, play this, because this will show you that you can still tell a really good story.
Here's an interesting one that we have here, and this is one that is not on my list, but I do love this game. You're at number 7.
Number 7.
All we can do is pray to the goddess.
This should have been another honorable mention for me.
Yeah.
Because you talk about unique worlds.
No, and that's the thing about Horizon Zero Dawn is that, yes, it's an open world game, but it's an open world game that I love, where it's not filled with busy work. It's just pure fun, and where every new area you go to, there's something new, whether it be a giant robot giraffe or herds of robot buffaloes or Tyrannosaurus Rexes and things. I love how it combines, it's a post-apocalyptic environment with super advanced robots, but then everything, like all these cultures feel like they're like Neolithic or ancient. It's like, it's all these unusual things combined together. You think, how is this going to work?
A bunch of hippies at a commune or something.
Yeah, might as well be. I mean, you kind of all these different cultures, but it all meshes perfectly. And you explore this world with a really well-written protagonist in Aloy. She's one of my absolute favorites of this decade. It's just an overall great game. The gameplay is great. How, again, the sense of progression. You start off with like a regular bow and arrow and some rocks, and then later on in the game, you eventually learn to ride these robot creatures. You get to hack them. You get like electric bombs you get to throw at these things. You have really fun boss battles where at first they're so intimidating, but because you upgrade your arsenal over time, both whether it be the story or things you just find in the environment, you start to feel godlike, and you really have just command over this world. Where at first it's horrifying.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just how it immerses you, how it progresses over time, and how it sets up just another fantastic franchise for Sony for the future. Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn, one of the absolute best.
Yeah, they're coming out with another one of these, right?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Herman. Not as disappointed in you as I thought I was.
Yeah, I got some good titles on there. I think I'm doing okay.
You're doing all right. I approve.
Thanks. Curious if the chat approves.
Number 6. I enjoy this game too. I have reasons for why it's not on my list, but I did enjoy this game.
Okay.
Peggy 18.
Peggy 18 is an amazing game.
It's great.
It's awesome. Wolfenstein.
The New Order.
Yes. Wolfenstein. The New Order. Yeah, man, it's a fun game.
Well, it's the thing that where it brings back an old franchise that really really showed that like what first-person shooters can be. Like the original Wolfenstein was the first-person shooter back in like 1990s, the very early 90s, and eventually Doom. But what I loved about this, like not only is Wolfenstein just it feels good, the gameplay's amazing. I love the linear level design, everything like that. But it's the setting, the story, and the characters. How it's like you would never think that they would do something like that with Wolfenstein, where it's like, yeah, you're BJ Blazkowicz, the greatest, soldier there is, just fighting Nazis, murdering Nazis, all sorts of ways. But Machine Games actually took the time to humanize BJ Blazkowicz.
No, the characters in this are great.
Caroline, you're alive.
If you call shitting in a bag living, 3 pulverized vertebrae. You?
Charming.
But even that, like that dynamic of them, that's like showing like their injuries, like all the time that has passed since World War II, where this is a world where the Nazis won and they've taken over most of the world at this point. But you join these freedom fighters as BJ Blazkowicz. You meet all these characters, and you go on these really crazy missions that are ridiculous. You're fighting and killing Nazis on the goddamn moon, but at the same time,
where Hitler's making a movie.
Where Hitler's making a movie. At the same time, the characters all feel like really well written and compelling, and actually care about what happens to them.
Number 5. Let me see here. Number 5. Well, looks like we'll never get the movie, man. But the games according to you are great. Uncharted.
Paradise awaits. Took a long time for him.
Got that move.
Yeah, he's like, he's taking his time. He doesn't need to breathe underwater. It's okay.
Uncharted.
Thief's End. Uncharted 4, Thief's End.
I'm sorry. Thieves End. Uncharted 4. Why 4 out of all the rest?
Well, it's the one that came out this decade.
Okay.
But no.
That helps.
The third one. No, the third one actually came out.
By the way.
No, the third one actually came out in 2011, so I'm just joking with you. But the reason why is that anyone who keeps saying that video games can't be of the same quality as movies in terms of just, I mean, how they are, their characters or anything, I always point to Uncharted. This is a modern Indiana Jones adventure. Matter of fact, it's better than Indiana Jones. And this is the final game where, I mean, even though it's the final game in Nathan Drake's story, where after spending so much time with him and all these characters, it's a swan song. It's saying goodbye, but also just telling a really captivating adventure where where you have your brother come back who you thought was dead. You know, you're living a passive life. Like, you won, you had your adventures. There's no reason to go back, but that treasure. There's something about it. You have to go back and do it. Yeah, that addiction. Yeah, and it delves into that, but. It's the one where I think it took its time, and some people criticize for it, but I didn't mind the slow parts in this game because during all those slow parts, it was always developing its characters and its relationships and showing how all these people change over time. I mean, in the original game, Nathan Drake was just a smart aleck treasure hunter. That's all he is. When we see him here, he's moved past all that. He's become more mature, and where he doesn't want to delve into that addiction again, but he inevitably does. And we see the consequences of it. I think that's the other thing about this game is that it really shows.
Reasonable. Yeah. I was trying to find something. I froze it on this. This looks like an ad for a gay dating site.
But it shows the consequences of those adventures and its effect on other people, and I like that.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly beautiful. When it comes to set pieces, this is set piece of the game, and there's just something so spectacular about
nice.
That. I absolutely adore it. It's a great franchise in general.
And I know you love this series too, so I knew I was going to be on there somewhere. All right, sir. Knocking them out. Chris Herman knocking them out.
Number 4. It's relevant, actually.
Let's see here. Yeah, very, very relevant. And number 4 would be
Hunters, killers of the world's filth, witchers, the ultimate.
I thought this was an ad for the Marines or something.
Good.
Be one of us.
Medieval Marine.
Yeah.
The White Wolf.
Is this which Witcher is this?
This is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. This is the most recent one. And I mean, this is, I think, probably the best RPG that has come out this decade. It's the one that I think Bethesda... This is the game that I think Bethesda thinks they're still making, but it's not. This is CD Projekt Red really honing their craft to create, probably one of the greatest open worlds of all time. One that, because of the pre-existing source material, to just fill it with so much lore and characters and just really unique environments, just kind of make it stand out among every single RPG that's out there. I don't think there's anything really like it. And I think it's also a good conclusion to their trilogy. I think it would be good to play the second one, which actually came out this decade, which you can't play The Witcher, Witcher 2, The Assassins of Kings. But I think in this one, they do a good job of catching you up. They do like a video, like, this is what's happened in the world, this is what's happened in the story, and with Geralt.
Nice. All right. Let me see, we got here more overlap.
You gotta handle her special.
I know.
Look like a midget beast right there.
No, it's a dwarf.
Yeah.
He doesn't know, does he? About your true nature or his own?
God of War.
What's so funny about this game is that if you would have asked me like a few years ago, before I played this, obviously, that I would have a God of War game on my list, I would say you're full of shit. I actually, I despise the original God of War games because all it is I don't like the gameplay, I don't like hack and slash, and I think Kratos was a terrible protagonist. He just yelled and murdered things, and that was it. I was like, I don't get it. Yeah, they're beautiful looking, I suppose, but I don't have any want to play those games. But what they did was, they made me want to play it because they went in the completely opposite direction. They gave him a personality that wasn't just screaming all the time. They changed the aesthetic, where instead of Greek it went to Norse. But and the gameplay, they slowed down the gameplay. It wasn't hack and slash, but it was a little more methodical. It gave you, I think, a better control of the character. gave you beautiful environments to explore, but also it was just the relationship between a father and son. They incorporated a lot of The Last of Us into this game. And I think that's what the franchise needed. It revitalized God of War. People were just so sick of it. And now I can't wait for the second one. I can't wait to see how Kratos' son is going to grow up, especially what we learn about him, who he really is. It's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, and also some of the best boss battles that I've experienced this generation. A wonderful game and a great revitalization for this series.
At number 2, a lot of people probably thought this would have been number 1 for you, but at number 2,
everything that I've done, it can't be for nothing.
Number 2.
Yeah. The Last of Us. No, I mean, this is my absolute favorite Naughty Dog game. Again, where the emphasis is placed on story, but I think they also do a great job with gameplay. I actually really like the gameplay. I like that they slowed it down. It's not as crazy as Uncharted's gameplay. It's more methodical. It's slower, where when you actually kill someone in this game, you feel it. And so many video games that you play, it's like you just kind of become numb to it after a while. But sometimes where I was like, okay, I don't even want to do this to this guy. Slitting someone's throat, like pushing someone down a broken piece of glass. And like having them just gag as the blood and everything and viscera is coming up from them. Like that, I think, really immerses you. But at the end of the day, it's the world and the story and the characters that really just spoke to me. Joel and Ellie's relationship, at first it starts out where it's like they don't like each other, then they fall in love with each other, and then it gets even more complicated towards the end of the game where it's like, I don't know how I feel about this. And the fact that a video game left me feeling that way, that's something I think that's pretty incredible.
Big drum roll, everybody. And Chris, your favorite game of all time? I'm trying to do drum roll running.
I'm watching you struggle. Yeah, use that thumb, man.
Is this? Where you going, man? Hey, come back. Oh, he loves it so much he can't take it. Look at it. Oh, he wants to go play Sonic right now. Your old enemy over there. When will you two get along, man?
Yeah, when he makes a good game. He hasn't done it yet.
The chat even say you just don't like speed, man.
No, it's too fast. I don't know what's going on. I don't like the loop-de-loops.
You don't like the loop-de-loops, man.
Or the
I like the way you asked one time, why gotta be loop-de-loops?
Yeah. Slow it down.
One loop is enough. What gotta be loop-de-loops?
It's fine.
All right.
I should have known. I should have expected something like that.
Hey, man, don't leave me under control over here.
You're like, ooh, I'm going to get him today.
I've been planning this shit all day. I'm like Denzel. I've been planning this shit all week.
Yeah, make the show all come together in the end. Give him that reaction.
All right. I got your number 1 game of all time for you right here.
No one wants to admit it, but humanity is under attack.
Mass Effect 3. 2.
Mass Effect 2.
1.
Yes. Oh,
Mass Effect 2.
I actually enjoy the entire trilogy, but no, Mass Effect 2. This is BioWare at their absolute best. It's creating a incredibly compelling sci-fi universe where it's incorporating whether it be something from Star Wars or Star Trek, or that's what a lot of people say. But no, it's like something that I think is truly original, where not only is it a huge improvement over the first game, which I actually really do truly love, but it's one where it's kind of, I think it's really the first video game that I played where I realized I love these characters in these games. It shows that you can create these types of people where you actually kind of have feelings for them, where they're so well written, whether how you interact with them in all sorts of ways, where they feel real to me. It was the first video game that kind of made me have that emotional connection for the first time ever, and that really surprised me and spoke to me. And it was the game that made me realize, like, I want to do something with video games in my life, whether it be, I don't know, writing for them or talking about them. But it created such a compelling experience to me that I just fell in love with it, and I wanted to do something with it in my life, and lo and behold, here it is. But no, I mean, but for people to just want to play like a very original game, which has a very fun sci-fi aesthetic, which has an emphasis on storytelling and characters, and you can't go wrong with Mass Effect 2. It's to me, it's not only my favorite game of the decade, but it's my favorite video game of all time. There's no reason why you should not play this game. And it's one where I hope someday that BioWare can return to making an experience like this, because that was BioWare at their peak.
Damn, that was heartfelt.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, man.
This changed my life.
I'm glad it did. Changed my life too.